Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another scene set in Vampire the Requiem, a Requiem for London. It is a cloudy, dark night. Rain is pouring across the whole city. It's typical autumn British autumn weather. Heavy, non-stop rain, cold, chilly weather, and not many people on the street. A lot of people being driven from location to location, using public transportation, just using whatever means they have to really just out of this absolutely miserable weather. But all of you have decided to venture out into this miserable evening to head to the British Museum. A public institution that is conveniently present within the borough of Camden, one of the domains of the Lancashire et Sanctum, under the Prince's edict, at the very least. The museum itself is claimed by one of the lawkeepers of the Lancashire, but that isn't its purpose this evening. To be frank, very few outside the Lancashire actually know that fact. Tonight you have all been invited here by Archon Fane. Some of you know her by a separate title, but to most of you, she is an Archon of the Sheriff, executing his will and the Prince's across the domain. And while you have been politely invited, it would be very remiss of you to not be accounted for, to not respond. Lord knows anyone who dismisses the sheriff tends to leave the city very quickly or disappear. And so you have all arrived via your favoured means at the museum. It is currently closed to the public, but you've been given special access. How do you all arrive?
Mr. Goodman will arrive via cab. He'll make sure give the cabbie his proper fare and look at the museum with distinct interest. And he'll kind of look left to right and see if he see anything that he recognizes, or maybe is queued up of anything. Yeah, queued up of any type of weird occurrences around the place before he enters the building.
No. This place doesn't have a sort of how to put it, weird aura to it. But other than that, there's nothing strange going on. To be honest, there's very few people around the museum, other than the odd passerby and vagrant. There's not many people on the street right now. It's a pretty nasty shower. Everybody wants to stay out of the rain. You yourself are I presume you're wearing a coat. If you weren't, you'd be getting wet pretty quickly.
Before he walks into the building, he'll look over to the vagrant as in a homeless person, or just somebody happened just to be kind of moving by, looking disheveled.
Yeah, there's a vagrant that's kind of taking cover in a nearby alcove, but he's not really soliciting right now.
Yeah. Mr. Goodwin will walk over to him and place down, um, just because I don't personally know the equivalency of 10 USD. Because I
Basically, like £7 or £8.
Yeah. So next to him and just simply say, "Don't waste it," and walk into the building.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, you're so kind. You're too kind, man. Thank you so much.
And he nods.
Is it a fair assessment, Bishop, if this place houses the Lankia archives that I've been here before?
It harbors some of them.
And are they open to all members of the faithful, or are they not?
It's on a case by case basis. Librarian here tends to they tend to be a bit prickly, a bit selective about who gets to see what and what their reasoning is. They don't just give out knowledge to whoever asks for it. That's not the purpose of knowledge in their mind.
Knowledge is to be
But,
hoarded.
Yes. It is mine. Depending on the nature of your request, you think, particularly yourself, you're a respected member of the covenant. You may be able to access some of the archives, but it does depend somewhat on the nature of a request. They probably would not give it to you for no reason, or
Right.
give you what you seek for no reason. It is
Joshua
after all their
enters
responsibility. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say Joshua will enter into the museum. In very kind of traditional English style. He has his umbrella. But one day, Bishop, I'm going to get the Yag Damage umbrella one day. He will enter into the museum, kind of casting his eyes around the great glass ceiling of this building. I've been in this building actually particularly recently in the British Museum. It's got a gigantic glass ceiling. It's rather
There's a massive
pretty.
glass ceiling. There's a sort of central part of the building. That's basically kind of a walled off circle. In front of one giant foyer. But yes, it's a very prestigious looking building. This is sort of it's really difficult to describe actually. It's quite grandiose. It's a very grand building. It very much it celebrates that which it holds within its walls.
AKA, it celebrates that which the English managed to steal from around the world and bring back to London.
Yep.
I'm Irish, not salty at all. In that case, he is going to leave his coat at the coat check because it's damp and he doesn't want to be damp. And I'm going to go and find the High Inquisitor because that is how I know her.
There aren't many people in here. There is actually a person waiting at the door who takes your coat. They're very polite to you. They register as mortal. They don't have any predatory aura on them. But they seem to know you in particular, Joshua, but not by your magician persona. Julian, if they merely ask for your name, if they take your coat, if you have one on.
He does, and he just simply says, "I was invited by Mr. Goodman."
Excellent. Your host is down by the Greek display. They just give you vague directions to them. It's not too hard to find.
So he nods his head to the man and follows the direction. When he sees Joshua, his face cowers a bit, but just tries to walk past them.
I actually had a question. Sorry, you continue, Pete.
Okay. Natalia will arrive by subway. Walk the last bit. She's wearing. She has a like it's like just a jacket, and this is like business casual clothing on. And she will just very quickly enter. She's probably the last to arrive, and she looks around. She hasn't been here before, and yeah, she will find somewhere, and she will introduce herself and say that she's been invited.
Yes, the weathered-looking man takes your coat, gives you the same directions as Julian and Joshua received, and they send you on your way to the Greek exhibits. Room 18 in particular, depicting the many members of the Greek pantheon, largely sculptures and murals. A lot of these are heavily damaged, but are still immaculately carved. Very stereotypical stone Greek marble sculptures. The walls are have a similar sort of material and texture lining the walls to fit in with that which they hold within them. It's almost like you're in a temple of sorts to the gods within.
Yeah, Natalia will actually take a few moments to just take in the display. It's not every time she gets to go to your museum, but yeah, she's not going to touch anything. She knows better. And yeah, she's going to find this person.
Yes, this person is actually quite obvious as soon as you all enter the room. Joshua, you recognize her first because she's a part of your covenant. In fact, you probably met her at least once. You're probably hunting down a renegade of their covenant, of your covenant.
They happen. We have to warm up the burning stakes occasionally.
But when you have met her, she hasn't been particularly violent or aggressive towards you. Almost the opposite, actually. Quite comforting, like a police taking a witness statement, quite formal and to the point, but not aggressive, not cruel, not coercive, and. She stands before one of the murals, taken from one of the ancient Greek colonies of old. And in contrast to the place you're in, she just look a bit rough around the edges.
How old? Sorry, I had to actually answer this question. How old and what clan is she?
One second. I believe she is an ancilla, and she is of Clan Deva. You would know this because she is of your covenant. The rest of you can roll wits politics or intelligence politics. Sorry.
I was going to say I do need a sire. I'll talk to you about that later. But yeah, no, I do actually need a sire.
Yes. Yeah, she's an ancilla of Clan Deva, Joshua, so you understand at least that much.
Goodman would look towards the woman and I said, and incline his head in a respectful manner.
Yeah, she's quite tall. Has short pink hair, multiple piercings. Necklace with a crucifix on it, with a spike collar, and the jacket that she's got on in the other leg.
Would it be rude to use our actual? Would it be rude to use our actual like covenant titles around each other, or in public, or in surrounded by non-members, or is like how work?
It's something that varies from city to city. The covenants here tend to be very cloak and dagger about their respective covenants, in part because the Macat Princedom here tends to take a very, very personal interest in everybody's affairs. It's sort of the nature of the domain. So the members of the domain themselves have become quite secretive about which covenant they belong to, and if they are public about it, what particular rank they have within it and what age they are. People can usually make rough guesses, but it's better than them actually knowing. So city titles are more appropriate.
In that case, she gets a respectful bow, and Archon will be fine.
Joshua, good to see you. I take it you must be Natalia Blanco and you are Mr. Goodman, yes?
No, other way around. I'm Mr. No, yeah, it's true.
Aye.
Archon Koslova referenced you, and I have something. Frankly, I'm not up to my neck in shit. And I have something I think could use your particular area of expertise. Something you could work on together. I usually take on volunteers for police work. This is something that I don't have time for. And frankly, at least half of you here look like you could use something to get your feet wet with.
Yeah, it's quite true. Mr. Goodman here, he needs, he needs to work out more. He needs to be a little bit more, intimidating.
I hear you're a busy man, Mr. Goodman. I hope you can make time for me.
So this is my priority. So I have faith in my associates to run their parts of the company fine. But I appreciate your concern.
Your research going well within the Jakul?
So, slow process, but it's the journey, not the destination.
Well, we're all on a journey, Mr. Goodman. Belenko. You have quite a line, as evident of most Invictus I talk to. She kind of ends up like looking to the side as if she's sort of irritated.
That you have. I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear it. You have quite
the line.
Line as in
of what I hear most Invictus do, and she just kind of looks to the side of you, vaguely irritated.
Oh well, I hope I can, improve the image. I mean, no guarantees, but hey.
Oh, excellent! In that case, we shall see you in
No, I don't do church. No, I'm sorry.
But you just said you wish to improve your image.
But how would it improve relations by me being there and throwing side eye? I don't think that would help anything.
Well, if you did,
he kind of gives up.
Oops, sorry, never mind.
Oh, sorry. No, you continue, Bishop. By all means.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you do show up to one of our services, if you were to show up to one of our services, I would hope you'd not be throwing side eye all over the place, particularly not to the person running the service.
I mean, in your particular case, if you were running a service, I would listen intently. Trust me. I like your style. The hair looks good. She does actually just look at her clothing and just seems to approve, like, nod approvingly.
You'd be surprised how often I hear that. Oh dear.
Well, maybe I wouldn't be surprised. Hey, maybe I found something. Maybe I'll find church better than I used to. I didn't have the best time in church when I was alive, so you know.
We tend to be more forward thinkers here, contrary to what some of us would have you believe.
It's good. It's good. Well, it's a genuine, genuine pleasure to be here. I'm sorry I haven't made your acquaintance yet, but we'll remedy that in time.
Archon Saturn Fane.
I suppose.
Currently the oldest and longest serving Archon among the sheriffs. I'm hoping that we'll have more of a roster in the near future.
She, Natalia just quickly looks to Gutman, looks to the Archon, looks to Gutman, looks to the Archon, and just kind of shrugs. I mean, there is some recruits, I suppose, more obvious than others. But hey, that's not my job. So
Not exactly your wheelhouse, I will say. If becoming an Archon was easy as just becoming cheap muscle, then I would be.
Not saying that. I'm just saying. You know what? I'm just going to stop talking because, yeah, I think that's good.
That may be wise.
Archon said, "I said, what can you said? What may you tell us about this situation?"
Well, that is in part the problem. Nothing too much. I'll ask this first. How connected are all of you to this city's undergrowth?
Referring to what? Like underworld, black market, or referring to the lower end of society, the poor, the forgotten?
Streets, communities, gangs, crime, that sort of thing. The club scene.
I know a thing or two. I used to live on the streets.
What is your streetwise, by the way?
It is 1.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Then I suppose you've heard about this new high violet hitting the streets, no? You can roll me streetwise. Anyone who has streetwise can roll that. Anyone can roll their wit streetwise. If they don't have streetwise, they lose a dice.
Right.
I made a mistake here. I'm quite certain I had streetwise.
I got 1.
I know that I have streetwise.
Yeah, you do have streetwise as well.
Dang it.
That's a sad dice. Was that a chance dice? That wasn't a chance.
No, I actually had one in the. I actually had one in the skill or one in wit. So no, that's just an actual one test die, not a chance die.
Okay. Well, actually,
I do actually have one success.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm just going to check a thing, Evan, because if oh no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, it is. You have a single dice. So it's not chance dice, which means you don't have to take a dramatic failure.
I'm tempted to though.
Violet, that's a color. What are you talking about, woman?
No. It would have to be prefaced by me backhanding her and saying, "What are you talking about, woman?" That would end sadly. No, I'm gonna stick with my non-dramatic failure. Thank you.
Yeah, try not to insult the most dangerous archon in the city. Let's see. Okay, both Natalia and Julian, you've the word violet, the name violet, has been hitting the streets club scene rather recently. In fact, I believe you overheard it being brought up at Nightshade. It seems to be this new high that everybody's getting into. It seems to be serving as some sort of replacement for ecstasy.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. This Nightshade, it's connected to us? Is that the gist of it?
Excuse me, what? She looks a bit confused.
They were wondering if you believe that this substance, product, whatever, was connected to us.
I'm not entirely sure. That's what I want to find out.
Fuck. Oh well.
She takes out one of those small transparent plastic bags. Has a few purple pills in it.
Goodman will look at them very intently and will say, I'm a doctor. I am a doctor. I could have this analyzed for you.
That's why I called you here.
Yeah, I said, and he'll walk over and allow her to give it to him. He will not just simply take it.
I haven't been able to do much work on it myself. It's not really my field. But when some of my own friends got hooked up on some, I noticed they had a strange scent to it. Smelt faintly like our own vitae. Had me concerned.
As he kind of looks at the bag, turns it around a bit. You think that this stuff might have caused the kindred to end up making those halflings, making them act erratic?
Oh, you're talking about them. No, that's a very different process.
He nods.
Daryl, with because it's quite close to you, it's in a sealed bag, but you can still smell it because your beast is hyper attuned to these things. All of your beasts are. You do understand the sort. You don't understand what Fane is talking about. It does seem that these pills do seem to smell very faintly vitae to you. It's tipping off your beast a little bit. You can't really tell anything other than that, though.
He kind of clucks his tongue to his teeth, and he nods like an understanding. And you could almost swear his eyes almost shine a little bit in interest.
Well then. Oh, sorry, continue.
I have to admit, I'm unfamiliar with both sides of this particular coin. I'm no medical expert, but I also know that our vitae shouldn't remain this fresh outside of our bodies for particularly long. It's almost like it's been preserved.
No, it should not.
I tried tasting some, see if I could get a read on whose blood this belonged to, but it came back as hollow, empty. Like it had no potency or line or clan connected to it at all.
It is probably distilled.
Well, there is an easier way to find out. We find out whoever's selling this shit or passing it around. We make them tell us who their boss is, and we find their boss and we solve the problem. Yes?
How about
Essentially-
this? Ultimately, the fact of the matter is that if we go to the clubs, well, we can't really cause quote-unquote trouble in the clubs, where
Mhm.
more than likely many of the dealers will be selling this stuff.
Yeah, and we talk to them. Simple. We go, we talk to them, we, find out what we need to find out, and we find whoever's behind this.
Yeah. My point is more the fact that currently, well, we're currently standing in Invictus turf. Not Invictus turf, but in Lankia turf. This is a simple fact. We could venture out and we could attempt to find individuals in question. That's fine. We would. Hang on. He looks down. He takes out his phone. Tap 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 tap. And he's kind of looking at it. And he goes, "So Bishop, in and around this area, I assume because it's Camden and Camden's like super trendy, that there are a number of like late night clubs and like possible destinations for like underground raves and such."
Oh yeah, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of there's a very large there's a very large illegal rave scene in London.
I tell you what, why don't we take this a step further? Yeah, here's an idea. So, Bishop, there are a number of unused tube stations in London. I know this for a fact. I've been to several of them.
Mhm.
Once of which at an illegal rave. Just continue with life. So he looks up and he says, what we're going to do, because we wanted to catch, if we want to do this, we want to catch people off guard. We wanted to make sure that they're not going to suspect anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little party, a spontaneous party, where a lot of people are going to show up, and a lot of people will want to make some money. He taps the little bag, and they're going to bring this. I'm going to host this little party, and you two are going to find out who's selling this. Seem kosher?
Well, that depends on the person actually in charge here is going to sign off on it. I don't remember anyone voting for you and saying that you controlled anything or called any shots, but sure.
oh my. Delightful. I am doing what it is my he wants authority. I'm doing what it is my role is in this situation, which is to hunt, to find, and to secure, and to eliminate. But that's neither here nor there.
First, I want to establish how much of a threat these are to the masquerade. I'm not entirely certain myself.
Have you tried? Oh no, he wouldn't. If Evan was doing this, if it wasn't Joshua, who actually has a soul, Evan doesn't. He would suggest, let's just force feed them to some people and see what happens.
This is why Goodman is here. I hear you have the knowledge and the connections to verify just how dangerous these might be, or whether they're just a bunch of creatively souped up happy pills.
He nods.
Clearly, one of our kind is involved, but I want to make sure they're not doing something reckless. But I also want to figure out who is doing it. I don't want... Even if they are masquerade safe, I don't want them to run the risk of doing something stupid with them. And I want to know that they're in safe hands. Someone trustworthy. I'm sure you'll understand few of us ever are.
That is some good quality rage typing.
But I invited you three here specifically because you all have a role to play. Julian has knowledge and the connections. Joshua, you have your magic, both false and real. And Belenko, you have, well, you're a maquette. This sort of thing is right up your alley.
Oh, that's what she is. I always eat a Coke.
Yeah, I'm a pretty face and some guy's blood is in me. Yeah, that's all I am. That's really great. Yeah.
Well, that's one way of putting the embrace.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Julian, without touching it, could you please separate one of the pills from the bag?
He shakes his head and goes, "It'd be best to make sure that this is in a proper environment before I begin taking them out of the bag."
I can do what I need to do anywhere, so I don't particularly mind.
If I'm going to do this, I must do it right. Said sterile environment, no cross-contamination, proper tools.
Clink, clink.
To be fair, that's why I put them in the bag. I don't know how long it takes for these things to expire. Again, I'm not particularly well educated on these issues, so I just decided to take as many precautions as I could.
How recent has this drug been on the streets?
I've done a bit of digging. It started getting real popular about a month ago.
Then this is most likely synthetic. This will last for several years.
There you go. This is why I have you here.
Goodman will look over to Natalia and ask, "I like your idea of talking to the dealers. Keep to the small ones." Said, "They like to talk. They like to feel important. So don't."
And they're fairly easy to manipulate. I mean, there are people who sell drugs. I mean, they have to run fast and they have to think fast on their feet, maybe, but they're somewhat easily manipulated if you know how. But yeah, just thinking. But are we like? Is there anything else, or should the three of us maybe go somewhere and hash out a plan?
You're free to discuss your plan amongst yourselves. All I'd require from you is that you keep me up to speed on what you're doing to resolve this issue.
Do you
Before we
have
go after...
do you have a mail or a number?
Just leave any message you need to send me with Joshua. He knows how to contact me.
There's a nod.
Natalia just looks. There's a smile, and she just says, "Well, that's too bad."
You'll see me up and around.
In a city of secrets, it helps to keep some now and then.
Well, That's not really what I meant. Never mind. It's not often I get turned down by a woman, but oh well. It happens.
Ha!
One eyebrow goes up ever so slightly.
I mean, I ask for some woman's phone number. It's normally not no I get, but hey, it's going to happen eventually. Again, there's a smug grin on her face.
I like you. You
Is
make me
there's
laugh.
I was gonna say, I'm like, should I roll some kind of frenzy check for him literally saying, "Hey, I want to knock boots with your High Inquisitor"? I'm like, should I roll frenzy?
I mean, if it particularly offends Joshua, yes. If not, then yeah.
No, it would not. It'd wrangle him if he knew her job. I think because like she has like the super serious "do not fuck with me" job in my covenants. So it's like, yeah, no. There's a momentary look of displeasure, but it will soon kind of go back to the kind of the pale alabaster mask that he normally wears.
It's a shame. I was actually going to ask you to hide your face when you go around looking for the people dealing.
Yeah, I can do that, but it's
Lucky, I
fine. It's
guess.
fine. All part of the job. I get it.
You're actually quite lucky, in my opinion. You have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think hopefully in a couple of years I will totally accept that fact. But I think you're right when it comes down to it. I'm just still young, so.
Anywho, that's what I would recommend. I'd say let Julian analyze it first. Find out what's in those things. Either you can visit Keep a Shade for a venue, or Joshua, you can run one. Blanco, you can hide in the shadows. The clan's very good at it. Make it very easy for you to track any of those dealers down when they inevitably show up to one of these venues. Not exactly hard to find. I'm almost certain that Keeper is aware of the presence of this substance within her various domains, but she likely hasn't seen fit to act upon it yet. Perhaps she's unaware, though I find this doubtful.
If that is all.
That is all I had to discuss with you. But if there's anything you'd like to bring to my attention, by all means. You brought up those. You brought up the kindred in the subway, if it can even be called that. You're going to help Kozlova, then?
They need to be captured. They are a threat to the masquerade at this point.
Normally I go with him and just deal with that personally together, but, well, word's been getting around about the border skirmishes around the Lancare and Chrome borders, so we've had our hands full with that recently. And the sheriff is busy dealing with larger than life matters at the moment. Above your pay grades, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
Then you merely have to raise your pay grade.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Well, considering I wish you luck, it must be so hard being just one person with another man's blood in them. On a side note, I feel like that should be a tattoo or a greeting card from Hallmark.
And I'm just gonna roll something. That is what is frenzy?
Resolve plus composure. So you just roll your resolve plus composure. If you succeed, you resist frenzy. If you fail, you enter frenzy.
How bad is frenzy in this game?
Wouldn't you say that is a frenzy roll for me? Knowing what
yes,
you know.
probably, yeah, it would be.
Two.
Frenzy's worse in this game because.
Hooray!
Right. Okay.
Two successes.
Okay. Okay. Everybody feels. All right, including the archon. You feel Natalia's predatory aura, the beast that encompasses her, flare up for a brief moment. Her skin, for a fraction of a second, turns just snow white, and her eyes almost go a deep red for the briefest fraction of a second. But it is abruptly forced back down. But it is still simmering.
All right, let's go. She just says, "All right, let's go," and she begins to leave.
Fuck, I know that feel.
Goodman will look over the Joshua and says, "You know what they say about men who talk too much."
He smiles and he says, "Yes, they're stunning conversationalists."
I was told that the bite is rather weak. They bark too much.
Oh, so a dog is saying I bark too much.
I know what I am.
If you'll excuse me for a few moments, I do need a private word with the archon.
Perhaps I should call you all the hounds. That should be the name of your little coterie.
Mm.
She gives you gives you both a kind of sardonic smile.
So Goodman will bow to, incline his head again to the archon and carefully put the bag into one of his jacket's pockets, and he will begin moving the direction where Natalia went.
Joshua kind of stands there for, a couple of moments until he's pretty sure that they've gone. Once again, if you obfuscate back in the room, fucked if he'll know. She might, though. That would be very interesting. But he leans on his cane for a few moments before he doesn't call her Archon. He will say, Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
During a divine revelation yesterday, something was revealed to me that I found vaguely unnerving.
Go on.
Do you know an Anna, or not an Anarch, he would have said Anarch, but do you know a Carthian by the name of Sebastian?
Sebastian Yord?
All I know is he looks like a chav, dresses like a chav, and sounds like a chav.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's a local troublemaker. Pretty fervent guillotiner.
Yes. He told me that he had been on a little escapade with members of the Ordo Dracul, who had gone to a place wherein there was what I believe to have been a boundling, a spirit, a soul, bound and stitched into a human body not of its own making. Now,
Possession?
yes and no. I'm not sure if it was done, or I'm not sure how it was done. I'd have to examine the body for that information. However, they also spoke about, when I asked questions, the members of the Ordo there became incredibly tense. And so in my divine revelation, I asked about the nature of this place, and it was intimated to me by the will of the Almighty in my moment of clarity that it was a dark place that festers with sin, where holiness would shake the ground and where the wicked are burned. That it is a dark place and that we must protect and purify it, to do so to protect the will of God.
Can't say I'm surprised. The Ordo have a reputation for hunting down places of power and then making their homes there for whatever reason. Always been a bit suspicious to me. Most of the time it's been innocuous, fairly harmless, but there have been a few cases I've ran into where it's been a bit worse than that.
And to be fair, we do much the same, except we tend to do it in ecstasies of faith. Different,
yes, but that's quite different to what they do. We are selective. They hunt down all places of power, all lighthouses within a city, regardless of whether they were meant to be handled or not. Some things are best left alone.
I have issue and take umbrage with the fact that if they are indeed artificially binding souls to corpses, that is a profanity against God's will.
Yes, it's not usually us who deals with that. I rarely run into such possessions. They're usually the uneasy dead. They can be difficult to get rid of. Funnily enough, it's usually the Ordo who come to us with solutions. They seem to know the most about for ghosts.
Needless to say, I said that I would give you this information as it was the pertinence of the revelation. I believe that it should be cleansed.
I'll discuss it with Lord Crusader Shepherd to see if it's an issue.
As you wish.
Do you know where this is?
No, the Carthian does. I've offered to use the benefices of the blood in order to aid them in their little border or their breaches of their domain in exchange for his information. A minor benefice, but they tend to ooh and awe whenever they see something they don't understand.
I'd be careful if I were you in regards to using magic around the Carthians. Some of them seem to possess some sort of innate resistance to it. I can't quite grasp it.
I am curious about something, and this is the last thing I will ask before I leave you. I sense, and it is very much easy to sense, that there is a war coming between the Carthians and the Invictus. They will soon be at one another's throats. They already are, but soon it will be less proxies and more open conflict.
They've been that way ever since the Carthians have come to the city. To be honest, this is fairly lukewarm considering the state of affairs 20 years ago.
Now, however, there is the new added piece on the boards with the guillotines becoming more vocal and becoming more authoritative.
They haven't been given any reason to fight yet. The guillotines like to do a lot of barking, but the Invictus put them in their place.
They are, however, starving. So few domains, so many of them. And a starving dog will bite.
That is true. I hear Stanfort's trying to negotiate for more territory or some sort of shared domain system between a few of the more prosperous domains the Invictus have. To be fair to him, he managed to acquire Hammersmith and Fulham. I don't know how he managed to pull that off.
I'm merely curious, if there were to be conflict, which side do we fall on? Or do we simply sit by and watch and judge it to be God's will, whoever wins?
I'd recommend a wait and see approach, but personally, I land on the side of the Invictus in this matter. Carthians, I was around. I've been around for all their attempted revolutions. Have always come to nothing. Worse, they often ended up getting a lot of good people killed, both kindred and human. I have no tolerance for that wanton barbarism dressed up as some sort of civil ideology.
In that
The
case,
Invictus are
Inquisitor,
at least honest.
I will beg your leave in order to go and join the others.
Of course. That's... Keep an eye on that
You will
Julian
bow.
fellow. I wish to weigh him. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you wish to weigh him?
I wish to weigh him. He seems like he'd be particularly useful to us, but he seems to have an attitude problem. I don't like how he talked to you. You are
He was very
steady. He is not.
He was very quick to judge the individuals, the kindred in the sewers. He asked first if we should simply kill or capture them without any thought to the fact that they are still breathing entities under God's will.
Usually such beings are put to death. It's not exactly an uncommon interpretation.
No. However, he seems to contemplate his next words carefully. If we must be the executioners of gods, we should never revel in the concept.
You are very correct in this. Longinus and
yes, we
Monarchus. Sorry.
Oh no, you continue.
He said Longinus and Monarchus. They took a great many lives, but they never took pleasure in the fact. It was not simple murder. They were simply doing their duty.
He will be weighed, and we shall see how much value is to be placed in him. In that case, I should bid good evening, Inquisitor.
Evening, Ringmaster.
With that, he will turn, and you just hear the tapping of his cane as he leaves the room.
Meanwhile,
Sorry.
Natalia's just smoking a cigarette for a moment. She's just standing there smoking, just looking straight ahead as you approach.
Goodman would walk over to her, and though keeping his distance, he'll just simply say, "Will he be a problem?"
She turns her head. She doesn't look at you. She just turns her head a bit. Who's going to be a problem for what?
The one who talks too much.
No, it's fine. I have no problem.
He nods to her and said, "I hope this goes well for us. It would look good on our resumes." As he actually puts out one of his hands as kind of an air quote. But I can see that you were upset, and I am concerned.
No, I wasn't. That's fine.
Thanks. And he nods. All right.
She's obviously lying. That's why you don't need to roll.
No, he's not gonna try to prep it because obvious or not, it's like she doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, all right, we don't have to talk about it.
So, is Is the Jesus freak going to join us, or she looks? No, he's not here. Oh well. So, what's the plan? Do we do this tonight or what?
I'd say right now, the best thing is to do. Said, grab a small fry. Said, that kind, they're easy to manipulate. Like you said, there's no reason to get the lieutenants or the leader involved quite yet. Said, the small ones here just as much. Not all of them, but a good portion of them do. So, if you wish to hit the club and we just keep our heads out and look for a particular one, I'm sure either of us can make him feel talkative.
I can do that.
So we don't need to grab everything at once. So I feel that we have time. That also gives me time to look at the project. But I will make sure to inform you and the talkative one, and he'll
Do you have an email?
and he nods. You can have my personal number.
Yeah, email's fine.
When he says that, he's referring to email.
Okay.
Bad on my player. Bad on my part. Yeah.
All right. She notes it down. You just say. So yeah, we can go. You were going to the lab or what?
I have a lab I can go to. And do you have money to buy the product if need be?
If you could spot me a couple of quid, that would be nice. But I think I do.
Goes into one of his jacket pockets and bring out a almost $100 about 100 USD worth of pounds, and we'll give it to her. That should be enough to cover.
Yeah, thanks. So, where is Lipping Circus? Where's the flying circus? And she does looks around. And at this point, let's just say that the ringmaster approaches. Tap.
My.
Tap.
Such an eventful evening.
Quite. So, are we going to do this now or what?
That's entirely up to you.
I'm always ready for, working for the good of the city and, stuff, all that. So, you were going to, you're going to the lab. And we're going to an abandoned subway station, and I need to look the part, right?
I'm sure you'll get any man's attention down there. Said, just find the kind that has the product, get him to talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Give me. Which station are you thinking of?
Okay.
I didn't quite get you. Which what is what, sir?
She's just asking which subway station we're planning on using, or are you planning on announcing stuff for?
Okay. Hang on. Bishop, did you want to continue this scene tonight, or would you rather take a stopgap and do it again? Because I can continue it going. I have a plan, but I just want to know what you prefer.
We'll give it a
Oh,
stopgap.
right,
I
and
think.
you don't have that much time
Yeah,
you
I've
I have an
got,
hour, but like, I mean, it's up to Bishop if he wants to run it tonight or if he wants to run it a different time. I don't
yeah,
care.
both of us have an hour, so we can put a stopgap. What you want to do anyway will probably take a bit of downtime anyway, because setting up
Okay.
a whole setting up a whole venue is going to take probably at least a few days.
That's fine. Because basically, I assume with Fame 3, I have a shitload of followers on Twitter. That is all I choose to say.
You have all of the followers on Twitter.
All followers on Twitter. Yay.
All right. Well, then I believe that means that our scene is coming to an end.
Yeah. Against the pip power of rain and the raucous sound of thunder, we'll call the scene there. Thank you, guys, for playing. Thank you, watchers, watching. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.